October 15th, 2022, 6:47 a.m. Svatove sector, Luhansk Oblast. Russian mobilized unit prepares for first combat. 300 men. Civilians 2 weeks ago. Accountants. Teachers. Factory workers. Drafted September 21st. Partial mobilization. Sent to front October 10th. Training 10 days. Equipment adequate barely. AK-74 rifles. Soviet-era body armor. Some have no helmets. Orders. Assault Ukrainian trench line. Distance 800 meters across open ground. Experienced soldiers know this is suicide mission. These aren't experienced soldiers. Are mobilized civilians with 10 days training. Most never fired weapon in combat. Most never experienced artillery. About to experience everything simultaneously. Commander is professional. Knows mission is impossible. Follows orders anyway. Tells men. Advance quickly. Reach trenches. Overwhelm defenders. Simple plan. Doesn't mention that Ukrainian defenders have prepared positions. Machine guns. Artillery support. Drone observation. Professionals who fought for months. Against civilians with 10 days training. This is what happens. This is first battle. The assault begins. 300 men advance. Across open ground. Ukrainian observers see them immediately. Thermal drones track movement. Fire control coordinates engagement. Let them advance into kill zone. Optimal range for defensive fires. 400 meters from trenches. Now, Ukrainian machine guns open fire. Artillery begins landing. Pre-registered coordinates. Accurate. Lethal. Russian mobilized troops take casualties immediately. Most have never been under fire. Panic is instant. Some freeze. Some run forward. Some turn back. Unit cohesion collapses within minutes. Officers try maintaining order. Most officers are inexperienced too. Can't control panicked men under fire. Some soldiers reach 300 meters. Get cut down. Some reach 200 meters. Die there. A few reach 100 meters. Ukrainian defenders are professional. Every approach is covered. Every meter is death. Assault continues somehow. Because some men keep advancing. Because nowhere to run. Because panic drives forward as much as backward. By 7:15 a.m., 28 minutes after assault began, 200 men are casualties, dead or wounded. Remaining 100 are scattered, hiding. Some surrender. Some die hiding. None reach trenches. Assault has failed. Completely. Catastrophically. Predictably. At 11:47 a.m., 5 hours after assault began, Russian forces consolidate survivors. 180 men return. 120 casualties. 60% casualty rate. First battle. First assault. Complete failure. Survivors are traumatized. Many wounded. Unit is combat ineffective. Needs reconstitution. Needs replacements. Russian command's response. Minimal pause. Will attack again tomorrow. With fresh, mobilized troops. Same training. Same equipment. Same tactics. Same result predictably. This is pattern repeating. Mobilized troops sent to assault prepared defenses. Take catastrophic casualties. Get replaced. New mobilized troops assault. Pattern continues. This is Russian Mobilization 2022. This is what happens when send untrained civilians against professional defenders. This is mathematics of desperation. Bodies traded for minimal territorial gains. Mobilized troops are ammunition. Used. Expended. Replaced. Repeat. This is MilitaryReport. And what happened to this Russian mobilized unit wasn't aberration. Was pattern repeated throughout fall 2022, where hundreds of thousands of mobilized civilians were drafted, given minimal training, sent to front immediately, used in assault operations against prepared Ukrainian defenses, suffered catastrophic casualties, got replaced. Pattern repeated. This is mobilization as human sacrifice, where political needs override military rationality, Where untrained civilians are sent to missions, trained soldiers would struggle completing. Where 60% casualties in first battle is normal. Expected. Accepted. The question isn't whether this unit suffered catastrophically. They did. Question is why Russian command sent untrained civilians on suicide missions. What calculation makes 60% casualties acceptable for minimal gains? And what this reveals about Russian military's complete indifference to human life when political pressure demands visible military action regardless of cost. Official Russian statements about mobilization: confident initially. Partial mobilization of trained reservists. Reality was different. Most mobilized had no military experience, or military experience decades old. Training was minimal. Equipment inadequate. Statements said strengthening defensive positions. Reality was immediate offensive operations. Statements were propaganda. Reality was tragedy. Mobilized troops knew. Families knew. Officials knew. Said different anyway. Propaganda serves politics, not truth. Ukrainian statements. Professional observation. Enemy using poorly trained reinforcements. Suffering heavy casualties. Videos showing mobilized troops surrendering. Confused. Poorly equipped. Ukrainian forces felt conflicted sometimes. Killing men who shouldn't be fighting. But job is kill enemy. Enemy is man shooting at you, regardless of his training or wishes. War is tragedy. Ukrainian defenders do their job. Mobilized Russians die doing impossible job. Both true. Both tragic. Stay with me. Because the detail that explains this catastrophe, why 60% casualties in first battle, is going to show you that military effectiveness requires training, leadership, and cohesion. Russian mobilized troops had none adequately. 10 days training is nothing. Can't prepare anyone for combat in 10 days. Leadership was inexperienced mostly. Officers drafted too. Or promoted from enlisted. No combat experience. Unit cohesion impossible. Men drafted from different regions. Thrown together. Given days to bond. Sent to assault against professional Ukrainian defenders with months of combat experience. Prepared positions. Supporting fires. Competent leadership. Asymmetry was total. Result was predictable. Mobilized troops were slaughtered. Not because cowardly. Because mission was impossible for their training level. This is why 60% casualties. Not because didn't try. Because trying isn't enough when task requires skills you don't have. Let's establish what this battle actually was. What made it catastrophic? Svatove sector. Fall 2022. Russian defensive lines are stretched. Ukrainian forces advancing after Kharkiv counteroffensive. Russian command needs bodies. To hold lines. To launch local counterattacks. To show military activity. Mobilization provides bodies. 300,000 mobilized September-October. Sent to front immediately. This unit was typical. 300 men. Drafted late September. Trained 10 days. Sent to front mid-October. Given offensive mission immediately. Despite minimal training. Despite inexperienced leadership. Despite being civilians 2 weeks earlier. Given mission-experienced soldiers would struggle with assault across open ground against prepared defenses. Training received. 10 days. Basic rifle marksmanship. Maybe. Squad tactics. Theoretical. No live fire exercises with artillery. No combined arms training. No assault rehearsals. Just classroom instruction and basic drill. Then sent to combat. Modern combat requires skills that take months to develop. Fire discipline. Squad coordination. Reacting to contact. These are trained responses. Can't be taught in 10 days. Requires repetition. Requires stress inoculation. Requires realistic training. Russian mobilized troops got none of this. Got told what to do. Then sent to do it. Under fire. First time. Predictably failed. Ukrainian defenders. Professional soldiers. Months of combat experience. Prepared positions. Machine gun nests with overlapping fields of fire. Artillery support. Drone observation. Command experienced. Cohesion strong. These are soldiers who fought together. Know their job. Execute professionally. Against Russian mobilized troops. Slaughter. Not fair fight. Not close. Just professional defenders killing untrained attackers methodically. Ukrainian forces don't celebrate this. Just do job. Kill enemy. Survive. War continues. The assault. Minute by minute. What 300 men experienced. 6:47 a.m. Assault begins. Officers order advance. Men comply. Most are terrified. Some convinced this is necessary. Some resign to fate. All advance. Across open ground. Ukrainian forces watch. Wait for optimal range. This is discipline. Let enemy commit. Then destroy efficiently. 6:52 a.m. Ukrainian fires open. Machine guns first. Accurate. Sustained. Men start falling immediately. Most mobilized troops have never experienced this. Incoming fire is psychologically overwhelming. 10 days can't. Panic begins. Some men freeze. Some scatter. Some advance. Officer tries maintaining order. Gets killed. Unit cohesion fractures. 7 a.m. Artillery begins landing. Russian troops have no counter. No training for artillery. Just die or survive randomly. More panic. More casualties. Some men are still advancing. Don't know what else to do. Orders were advance. So advance. Into machine gun fire. Into artillery. Into death. This is what happens when training is insufficient and mission is impossible. 7:10 a.m. Survivors are scattered. Maybe 50 reached 300 meters. Pinned down. Can't advance. Can't retreat. Just wait. Die slowly. Or survive if lucky. Artillery continues. Machine guns continue. Drones spot survivors. Direct fires onto them. This continues. Systematic. Professional. Lethal. 7:15 a.m. Assault is over effectively. Some men still alive. Hiding. Wounded. Maybe 20 reached 200 meters. None reached 100. None reached trenches. Mission failed completely. Casualties are catastrophic. 200 men dead or wounded. 100 surviving. Scattered. Traumatized. Combat ineffective. This is result. 28 minutes. Complete failure. This is what happens when send untrained civilians against professionals. Now the analysis. Why this happened. What it means. Training inadequacy. 10 days training is criminally insufficient. Can't prepare anyone for combat in 10 days. Requires months minimum. Requires realistic training. Requires stress inoculation. Russian mobilized troops got none of this. Got told what to do theoretically. Then sent to do it practically. Under fire. Against professionals. Result was slaughter. This isn't troops' fault. Is command's fault. Is system's fault. Sending men to die without preparation because political timeline demands bodies now. This is criminal negligence. Institutionalized. Leadership failure. Officers were inexperienced mostly. Can't lead in combat without experience. Can't maintain unit cohesion under fire without training. Russian mobilized units had inexperienced officers leading inexperienced men. Against experienced Ukrainian defenders. Leadership gap was decisive. Ukrainian officers knew their job. Russian officers learning on job. While men died. This is fundamental failure. Can't fix with courage. Requires competence. Competence requires training. Training requires time. Time wasn't available. Men paid price. Mission impossibility. Assaulting across open ground against prepared defenses is difficult for trained soldiers. Is suicide mission for untrained? Russian command knew this. Sent mobilized troops anyway. Why? Desperation. Political pressure. Indifference to casualties. Calculation that showing activity matters more than preserving lives. This calculation kills soldiers. Mobilized troops sent on impossible missions. Fail predictably. Get blamed for failure. Get replaced. New mobilized troops sent. Pattern repeats. This is systemic failure. Casualty acceptance. 60% casualties in first battle would stop Western military operations immediately. Is unacceptable. Russian command accepts this. Mobilized troops are expendable. Can be replaced. Families can be silenced. Casualties can be hidden. System enables continued operations despite catastrophic losses. This is asymmetry. Russian military can sustain casualty rates, Western militaries can't. Not because Russian soldiers are tougher, because Russian system doesn't care about casualties like Western systems do. Dark advantage. Enables operations that seem irrational, are rational within Russian context. Mobilization as desperation. Why mobilize if results are catastrophic? Desperation. Needs bodies. Hold lines. Show activity. Prevent collapse. Mobilization provides bodies. Training doesn't matter. Experience doesn't matter. Just need bodies. To fill positions. To attempt missions. To die trying. This is Mobilization 2022. Not strategic masterstroke. Desperate measure. Barely functional. Catastrophically expensive in human terms. Continuing because alternatives are worse. This is truth. Hidden behind propaganda. Revealed in casualty statistics. 3 questions from the beginning. Time to answer them. Why send untrained civilians on suicide missions? Desperation and indifference. Russian military needed bodies. Mobilization provided them. Training takes time. Political situation demanded immediate deployment. So sent mobilized troops inadequately prepared. Results were catastrophic. Command knew. Sent them anyway. Because political calculus values showing military activity over preserving mobilized troops' lives. System that accepts this continues operations that shouldn't happen. Mobilized troops pay price for command's decisions. Always have. Always will. What calculation makes 60% casualties acceptable? Political calculation, not military. 60% casualties is militarily catastrophic. Politically is acceptable if alternative is admitting mobilization failed, or admitting strategy is wrong, or admitting war is going badly. Better to sacrifice mobilized troops than admit these truths. This is calculus that kills. Treats humans as expendable. Acceptable losses. Within Russian political military system, this works. Men die. Get replaced. War continues. Outside this system seems insane. Inside is rational. Understanding this is critical to understanding Russian military operations. What does this reveal about indifference to human life? Everything. Sending untrained civilians against prepared defenses, knowing casualties will be catastrophic, reveals complete indifference to their survival. Their ammunition. To be expended. Used. Replaced. Not valued soldiers. Not people with families. Just bodies filling positions. Attempting missions. Dying predictably. This indifference is systemic. Enables operations Western systems couldn't sustain. Makes rational calculations by Western standards impossible. Russian military operates in different framework, where human life has different value. Understanding this is uncomfortable. Necessary. Can't counter enemy without understanding their calculations, their values, their indifference. The lesson from this battle is that training and leadership matter more than numbers. Russian mobilized troops were numerous, were inadequately trained, were poorly led. Results were catastrophic. Against Ukrainian defenders with training, leadership, and experience, slaughter. This isn't about courage. Russian mobilized troops tried. Many died trying. Is about preparation. Can't succeed in combat without preparation regardless of courage. Russian command sent men without preparation. Results proved what was obvious. Can't improvise military effectiveness. Requires training. Requires time. Russian mobilization had neither. Men paid price. 60% casualties, first battle. This is what happens when political timeline overrides military necessity, when bodies matter more than training, when showing activity matters more than success. Russian mobilized troops learned this. Expensively. Tragically. Predictably. This is MilitaryReport. We analyze battles that define wars. This battle defines Russian mobilization 2022. Untrained civilians sent against professionals. Catastrophic casualties. Mission failure. Pattern repeated throughout fall and winter. Mobilization provided bodies. Didn't provide trained soldiers. Gap was decisive. Ukrainian defenders killed Russian mobilized troops systematically. Not because Ukrainian superiority innate. Because training and experience matter. Russian mobilized troops had neither. 60% casualties, first battle proves this. Should have been obvious. Was ignored. Political pressure demanded immediate deployment. Military rationality demanded extensive training. Politics won. Soldiers died. This is pattern. Repeats endlessly. Different units. Same tragedy. Russian mobilization is human sacrifice on industrial scale. Masked by propaganda. Revealed by casualty rates. This is reality. This is tragedy. This is what happens when system treats humans as ammunition. Subscribe to MilitaryReport. Because understanding why wars are fought as they are requires understanding different systems value life differently. Russian mobilized troops were sacrificed predictably. 60% casualties, first battle. Against prepared Ukrainian defenders. Training was inadequate. Leadership was inexperienced. Mission was impossible. Results were inevitable. Understanding this isn't celebrating Ukrainian kills. Is understanding Russian system sends men to die missions they can't accomplish. Because political needs override military rationality. Because mobilization provides bodies, not soldiers. Because casualties are acceptable if alternatives are worse. This is how Russian military operates. Understanding this is critical. Can't counter what don't understand. Can't end war without understanding why continues despite catastrophic costs. Russian mobilization explains this. Bodies replace casualties. New bodies attempt missions. Fail. Get replaced. Pattern continues. This is sustainable within Russian system. Horrible, but sustainable. Understanding this horror is necessary step to ending it. 300 men. 10 days training. First battle. 60% casualties. Mission failed. Survivors traumatized. Unit destroyed. Replaced by new mobilized troops. Same training. Same missions. Same results. This is Russian mobilization. This is human sacrifice. This is what happens when political desperation creates military impossibility and system doesn't care about casualties enough to stop. Training matters. Leadership matters. Experience matters. Russian mobilized troops had none adequately. Were sent anyway. Died predictably. 60% first battle. This is tragedy. Preventable. Repeated anyway. Because system that created it values territorial claims over human lives. Values political narrative over military reality. Values showing activity over succeeding. Russian mobilized troops pay price. With blood. With lives. With futures destroyed. This is reality hidden behind propaganda. Revealed by casualty statistics. Proven by battles like this. Where 300 men attacked. 180 returned. 60% gone. First battle. This is Russian mobilization. This is horror. This is war. Real battles. Real tactics. Real consequences. Stay informed.